Real Productions. Let's get it. Wow, wow, wow. Root of Melanin. Thus saith the Lord.
Being without melanin means you're deficient of melanin. That's a deficiency. Now, when it comes towards this, why people have been taught to hate their skin, when in reality, melanin is the most expensive thing on planet Earth. More expensive than even gold. That is a fact.
Melanin is a versatile molecule. Not only is it responsible for giving us our UV-blocking complexion, at the cellular level, it gobbles up harmful radicals that lead to diseases such as cancer and Parkinson's. But that's only the beginning. Over the past decades, researchers have focused on what might be melanin's most promising talent yet discovered, the ability to conduct electricity.
What the fuck?
The reality is that the very melanin that I have and that you have is the most expensive thing on planet Earth. Look it up. Matter of fact, put a chart up here that shows the real price of melanin in comparison to all the other fine and precious compounds on this earth. Gold, silver, platinum, yada, yada, yada.
Melanin is the biggest business. Brainwashed to think we were nothing. They was bluffing. The very skin we walk around in is worth something. This is why they abduct our people. Our very existence is regal.
The double-edged sword of conquering is you have to inhabit that land. That's why they're always by the coast. Coastline. New York, Miami. Look at all the main countries in Australia. All their and they push all of the aboriginals to the center, the most hottest humid places. But the thing is the people, even though they conquered on the coastline, their skin is still not conducive to that area. It's not. So they get cancer. That's the double-edged sword. That is the double-edged sword. Blonde hair biblically is a curse. Yellow, thin hair is a curse biblically. It's a plague. Take a look at this. Let's just read this. Read it. I'll just let you read it yourself. I'll be quiet. Yeah, you see it. I'll be quiet. I'll be quiet. We know what this is. They people that are cursed have literally flipped the script. Let's break down melanin.
Melanin is a broad term for a group of natural pigments found in most organisms. It is the primary determinant of skin color.
Human skin has 3 layers: the epidermis, the dermis, and the hypodermis. Melanocytes in the epidermis produce melanin, a natural skin pigment. Melanin blocks UV rays, which can accelerate the aging process. Black men and women produce more melanin in their skin, which results in darker pigments.
Melanin is a molecule. And the concept of melanin is, it is black in its nature. And we find it in the cosmos, we find it in the heavens, we find it in water, we find it in land, we find it in everything that exists.
Scholars and scientists have been having conferences about melanin, to my awareness, at least since the 1920s. These scientists said that the pineal gland, they refer to the pineal gland as a vestigial organ, that is a calcified gland within the body that served no purpose, as if the creator would create something that you didn't need. And it was only after the Vietnam War, in the late 60s and early 70s, they began to rewrite their interpretation of the pineal gland. The reason for that was that a large number of African Americans fought and died during the Vietnam War. And whenever a soldier dies, there's an autopsy that's performed before their body is sent back to Dover Air Force Base. And what they discovered, what these physicians discovered, is that when they performed the autopsies, the 75 to 80% of the African American soldiers had a large functioning pineal gland. The pineal gland is normally about the size of your thumb. So it was not a vestigial organ in 70 to 80% of African Americans, but it is a calcified organ in 75 to 80% of people with European ancestry. So they began to reevaluate the pineal gland.
The pineal gland is very interesting because Jacob, my forefather, aka Israel, or better known as Israel, wrestled with the Most High God and prevailed. This is a fact. Look at this.
Genesis 32, 28 through 30. And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with man, and hast prevailed. And Jacob asked him and said, tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, wherefore is it that thou dost ask after my name? And he blessed him there. And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved.
So this is a complex molecule. It's found in the brain. It's found in your adrenal glands. It's a powerful free radical scavenger. In other words, it helps the body prevent this oxidation, so it's an antioxidant. Melanin may play a much bigger role than just absorbing all this radiation, and when you get it into your body, it actually has a major effect on your immune system. It protects genes and it actually repairs broken DNA. Isn't that wonderful? Something breaks down because you're exposed to chemicals or radiation. Think of the people of Japan right now in 2011 who are suffering from huge amounts of radiation. What could we do to help them prevent cancer developing? Well, you need a DNA repairer, and that's what melanin does, because the fetus has all this melanin in it.
The sperm of the male and the egg of the woman, they're both layered with melanin, so that when the sperm penetrates the egg, there is a melanin explosion. And that melanin helps to formulate the fetus within that egg. And that fetus is literally coated with the melanin substance. And that melanin substance then goes on to form the brain and the central nervous system. So every human being begins with a melanin explosion.
I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Pure confusion. And confusion is of the devil. And I'm not confused. Are you?
There is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. Follow me.
Let's see more in depth what this truly means. It is time. It's time to know who you are and how great you are. And if you're not us, I'm not putting you down. You too can be blessed by blessing Israel. Humble yourself. Let's let the elder, great, rest in paradise, Dr. Cress Welsing. Let's let her break this down a little bit.
See, those of us who were hoping that the problem had disappeared. Do you see? But if a problem is not solved, it continues to resurface. We are also seeing an individual who recently won the Nobel Prize, James Watson, do you see, of great scientific fame, come out and openly state that black people are genetically inferior in terms of intelligence compared to white people. And I'm happy about that. Do you see? Now, when he was confronted, he said he didn't know why those words came out of his mouth. But I had written a paper that I presented in 1970 at the National Medical Association, because then some of my colleagues were talking about racism. And I had written a paper talking about why do people who classify themselves as white have to demean and degrade black people's genetics. And that paper was entitled The Crest Theory of Color Confrontation and Racism, White Supremacy. And in that paper, I talked about the fact that when people who classify themselves as white keep saying something is wrong with black people's genetics, see, 3 of their fingers are pointing back at themselves. And I didn't invent any genetics. I just simply thought about the things that I had been taught in their institutions and in medical school. That the inability to produce skin pigmentation is defined not by Francis Welsing, but by their own scientists as a genetic recessive trait and a genetic deficiency. A genetic deficiency, and it is albinism. A-L-B-I-N-I-S-M, albinism, meaning the cells in everybody's skin that are called melanocytes, that are charged with the production of melanin pigment, the black pigment. If you have a lot of melanin, you're crystal black. A little bit less, you look brown. A little bit less, you look red. A little bit less, you look yellow. And white is almost none at all. Now, they had defined albinism as a genetic deficiency state when they were talking about mice and rats and other forms of life. They never thought that some black person would come along and say, if the majority of the people on the planet have pigmented skins, then as far as human beings are concerned, white skin is albinism. Do you follow what I'm saying? See, in other words, they were busy saying something is wrong with you, when in reality there was something wrong with them. And I explained that this is the reason that they suntan. Do you see, trying to create color. And I'm updating it and saying now that this is the reason that so many of them are trying to cover their bodies with tattoos. See, now we need to think about that, because sometimes monkey see, monkey do. See, now we need to think about that, because sometimes monkey see, monkey do. And we don't understand why. See, it's like they do something, we think we have to do something.
If you're asking yourself how easy it is for the whole monkey see, monkey do thing to show itself, look at this. Look at this.
To answer that question, we set up a hidden camera experiment to see if this woman would stand up at the sound of this tone, simply because everyone else is. You might be thinking you'd never go along with this. Or would you? After just 3 beeps, and without knowing why she's doing it, this woman is now conforming perfectly to the group. But what happens if we take the group away?
Elaine, please.
Okay, now she's alone. The crowd is gone and nobody is watching her, except our hidden cameras. What do you think she'll do? She's now conforming to the rules of the group without them even being there.
See, now we need to think about that because sometimes monkey see, monkey do.
Now, watch what happens when we introduce another outsider who doesn't know the rules.
For a noon appointment.
Have a seat and they'll be out in just a couple minutes. Great, thanks so much.
Everybody was doing it, so I thought I was supposed to.
Because sometimes monkey see, monkey do.
Think she'll teach the new guy what to do?
See, but we have been blessed by the Creator with color. And indeed, and in fact, the Creator made us the chosen people, in that we are the mothers and fathers of everybody on this planet.
It is obvious that the man and the woman created in the image of God would be melanated, possessing both recessive and dominant genes. We are the walking holy grails.
Genesis chapter 1 verse 27. So God created man in his own image. His own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them.
I'm Chris Biggins and I'm a research leader in human origins at the Natural History Museum in London. And I'm holding here this wonderful reconstructed head of Cheddar Man. And I've been studying the skeleton of Cheddar Man for some 40 years or so. And now with DNA technology, we've got the whole genome of Cheddar Man. And here we've got a scientific reconstruction of what he looked like. We've got his hair form, his skin, his blue eyes, and that dark skin colour, that combination really striking. And getting out of here information about his biology, the fact that, for example, he couldn't digest milk because that came in with the advent of farming after the time of Cheddar Man. So we're getting his whole biology, how he relates to people in Europe at the time, and how he relates to people in Britain now.
You see, and as the original people, we were crystal black people. The color that we have been taught to hate under racism, white supremacy. And that goes back to the fact that black men are perceived as the persons who can cause white genetic annihilation.
Take a look at this.
So the real equation is E equals MP squared times the speed of darkness. Marinate on that for a minute. MP would be metaphysical, the unweighable. Times the speed of darkness, because another lie taught us in school, nothing travels faster than the speed of light. You ever heard of a black hole in space that light can't escape? Must be moving faster than light if light can't get the fuck up out of there. Even God said, out of eternal darkness, let there be light. So what color is God? Black. As it is in heaven, so shall it be on earth. Two black people can get together and have a white person. It's called an albino. Two white people can't get together and have a nigga I know. Have a nigga I know.
But there are disparities in all of those areas of activity. There are disparities in economics and disparities in education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war, and health. And I say disparities in entertainment, why? When only certain kinds of images can be shown of black people, where negative and demeaning and degrading and buffoon-like images are portrayed of black people, that is helping to maintain the system of racism, white supremacy. Or in entertainment, when the system of racism says, I know people like Public Enemy, they started out with giving a political message. But when they put that political message on a beat, the system of racism said they can revolutionize the thinking of their people. So no, we have to pay them large sums of money and make some of them millionaires. But the price they will have to pay is calling themselves dogs, and calling themselves gangsters and thugs, and calling women bitches and hoes and bow wows, because they understand if you can get a people to demean and to degrade themselves, then you have beaten them. You have beaten them and you have defeated them.
You cannot teach people lies and then get angry with them when they learn the truth. Do you want me to remain a slave? That is the question. Answer it.
Do you? All praises to the Most High.
BigPretty.world. If you would like to hear another breakdown, comment down below. And don't forget to like and share and comment and all that. Yo, thank you for all your support. If you guys want a fresh hair gear like I got on, my wife made it. She did an excellent job. Go to BigPretty.world. www.bigpretty.world. See ya. Alright, bye.
All praises to the Most High.